My name is Caitlin. For those that I haven't met before, welcome. If you don't know me yet, I'm a certified yoga therapist in the San Diego area, and I'm also have worked for over 10 years in the dental field and had carpal tunnel syndrome myself, and I no longer experience discomfort because now I'm aware of the alignment of how to prevent it and what feels good in my body. So for those that haven't seen part one of the carpal tunnel syndrome, I'd recommend going back to that. Talk a bit more about what carpal tunnel is and a bit more about the anatomy of it. And I also share a few exercises in there that you should definitely go check out. So today I'm going to share two mudras, which mudras are hand gestures that we use. You're probably familiar with the one we call it for higher wisdom, the one at your heart. And there's a lot of therapeutic benefits to using hand mudras and to practicing them regularly. And there's also a mental, spiritual, emotional benefit as well. So I'll give you two of those for carpal tunnel syndrome, and then I'll go over two yoga practices that we can do to ease the discomfort or prevent carpal tunnel in general. So just as a recap, carpal tunnel often happens in our arm, our hand, our fingers, but what carpal tunnel really is and how we get symptoms is when we're narrowing this space where the thumb bone and pinky bone move towards each other. And the carpal tunnel is actually this space where a nerve comes down. So when you think that instead of being here, when your thumb and your pinky move towards each other, you're compressing this space where the nerve passes through. So people get symptoms of pain, of discomfort, of aches, of numbing and tingling. So what we want to aim to do always is create more space for the nerve in here by creating space in the palm, in the base of the palm. All right, so the first mudra we're going to do is called eagle. So palms towards your chest. Link your thumb tips together, and then you're just gonna sit here like this, and you could sit here for 10, 20 seconds, and maybe you wanna close your eyes here. This is a nice stretch you can feel for the thumbs right now. And if you're thinking about, or we're thinking about creating more space here, that's exactly what this does. So you could sit here for a few minutes. You could do this daily. This could be something that you do as a break from your work while you're at lunch, whatever it is, but creating more space here. So Eagle Mudra is what we call it. I'd recommend practicing this at least for like 10 good breaths every day, especially if you have carpal tunnel symptoms right now. Next one is Yoni Mudra. Same thing, we're just gonna make a little diamond with the thumbs together and the index fingers together and the fingertips facing down. And you can really put this or move this wherever. People practice this as therapeutic, for therapeutic benefits down here. However, you can do whatever, but think that we are creating more space right here. That's what we want. So Yoni Mudra, again, you could do this for 10 breaths, and imagine that you're creating more space in the base of that palm while you're here. And then pause for a few breaths. We'll do that together, just about 5 breaths like this. Creating space for the thumb. Moving the thumb away from the pinky. And noticing while you're here, especially if you're noticing a stretch while you're here, is there any area that you could soften? Like the shoulders tend to hike up, our jaw tightens. And just notice what arises here. All right, and then shake that out. So the next two things we're gonna go over are two exercises, two yoga practices that aren't necessarily conventional yoga postures, but are really, really beneficial for carpal tunnel syndrome. So one I call the Waitress. You'll see why. So we'll start with our palms up, elbows by our sides, and you can do this seated or standing. So just sit up nice and tall wherever you're at. And while you're here, think fingers spread wide. So we're constantly moving the thumb away from the pinky. And I know that when I had carpal tunnel syndrome, this in itself was a lot. So take your time, go at your own pace. Maybe you start really slowly and build up from there. So we'll start here, fingers spread wide, elbows by your side, shoulders soften. Take a breath like this. And it's just a fluid movement. So you'll inhale, the hands move towards the hips and behind you, and then come forward with the fingertips. Maybe it feels good to lift your hands up, and then fingertips towards your head. So fingertips come forward. And you want to think of this like you're carrying a tray, so like a waitress. So imagine you have the food in front of you, you're moving and then behind you, coming forward, all the way up, around, and then back in. So forward, back behind you, forward again, up, around, like you're carrying a tray and you do not want to dump it. And not only is this stretching the area where the carpal tunnel is, but it's also creating a little bit of strength you can probably feel in the hands in order to keep them open like this, which for those of us that sit, that type a lot, anything like that, this can be a lot just as is. So like I said, maybe you only practice it for a minute or so a day and you continue. Maybe just a minute is enough. And after you do each one of them, I definitely recommend pausing, like with anything, and just noticing how it feels. Noticing, do you feel sensation in your arm, your hand, your fingers? And what does that feel like? And then just when you feel complete, bring your arms by the side, close the eyes if that feels good, and again, just pause. And for me, I notice, I can't quite describe what I feel, but I do feel sensation down into the hands and the fingers, and that's what we want. Good, as long as it's not pain, obviously. All right, the next one is kind of a dual exercise. It's really actually good for neck and shoulder tension, for tightness anywhere on the arms. This is like my magic one after a long day, either at the computer or working at the dental office. So I'm going to use this bookshelf here to show you what we're going to do. And you can use something like this. You can go up against a wall. You can use the side of a door jamb. Anywhere that you can really just place your hand and move away from it a little bit. So we'll start by bringing the hand palm facing towards whatever it is, wall, for me, bookshelf, and spread the fingers nice and wide while you're here. We'll start with the arm about shoulder distance, and then take a moment, let your shoulders soften here. And then what you're going to do is walk away from your hand. Unless you already feel a sensation and a stretch a lot here, you'll just stay here. But you'll just slowly move away from the hand so that you create more of a stretch through somewhere. It could be the front of the chest, you feel it. It could be the fingertips, could be your forearm. And just take a few breaths like this. Letting your shoulders relax and big, long, steady breaths. And you can probably feel that you're either stretching somewhere on the front of the chest all the way down through the fingertips. It could be one place and the other arm could be really different. If you wanted a lot more stretch or more stretch, you'll move your ear, the opposite ear, towards the opposite shoulder. So my right hand is out here, my left ear is towards my left shoulder. So all along that right side, from the top of my head to the fingertips, they're getting a big stretch. And this just helps to create a little bit of relaxation through the muscles of the arm and the hand. Good, and then slowly make your way back to center, and I always love just pausing with both hands by your side. Do you feel a difference? From before, but also from one side to the other. Good, and then we'll move our hand right down, so it's kind of at the level of our hips. And same thing, if you want more, you'll move away. And then if you want more than that, you'll move the opposite ear towards the opposite shoulder, and just notice, do you feel this in a different area than you did before? Be gentle with yourself, because I know that discomfort and pain can be a lot. So always the reminder to be gentle. Good. And then when you feel ready, come back to center. Whew. Pause, both arms by the side. Take a breath or two here. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring our arm up just a little bit higher. I would actually prefer it kind of more up here. Obviously, my bookshelf isn't high enough for my tall self, so just find somewhere that feels good, that it's a little bit higher than shoulder distance. Same thing, fingers spread wide, palm presses against whatever you're touching, and then you'll move away. And this one for me is a big one across the front of the chest. Pause here, and then if you decide you want more opposite ear to opposite shoulder, take a few deep breaths here. Good. And then when you feel ready, I'd recommend staying longer than we did today. But that is a great one. Again, you can do at work, you can do at home. It doesn't take much, just takes a little bit. So again, you'll do it on the other side as well. But you want to start parallel, you'll go down here, and then you'll go up here more. And again, just notice where you stretch. Maybe notice if you start to do this regularly, how it feels as you progress. That is all for today. So again, we talked about carpal tunnel syndrome. We talked about 2 different mudras that you can use, eagle and Yoni Mudra, which is creating more space at the base of the palm between the thumb and the pinky bones. And then we also did 2 exercises, the Waitress, the one where you move all around like this. And then it's actually a yin practice or posture, but the one at either a door jamb or the wall where you're just creating more space along that whole arm and hand. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about how to create space here, how to support yourself through the practices of yoga therapy, don't hesitate to send me a message, comment below, whatever feels comfortable for you. I am here for you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.